We've got our areas here. Good afternoon. It is 2:01 on July 27th. Today is Monday. We are holding a special city council meeting as well as work session. It is typical that we have our work sessions on these Mondays at 2 o'clock. We did have a little bit of business we needed to do, so we're calling a special session to get that done and going into our work session. We are here live at the Huntsville Town Chambers. That's our anchor location. We are also available for electronic participation via Zoom. Quick call to order here. We've got council members Hickman, Booth, Hoagland, and Boone Baker in-house. Council member Shaw is still away on her approved absence family vacation. I am Mayor Wombler. We have our recorder and IT director in-house here as well. If you'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll follow that with a moment of silence. Thank you. All right, since we are starting with a city council meeting, a special city council meeting, we do start all of our city council meetings with a section of public comment. We ask that anyone who's wishing to make public comment, if you are in the room, come forward. There should be a piece of tape on the floor. Come forward, state your name, your address for the record, and then feel free to address the city council. You're welcome to speak on any topic that is germane to the city business or what is under the city council purview. If you are online, the shared chat should be disabled, but you are welcome to raise your hand and our IT director will unmute you, alert us, and have you be able to participate at that time. So we will start with people in the room. We only have one person in the room. Would you like to come forward and talk to the council?
Is what I have to say appropriate for this?
Okay.
We lost our tape.
No, we lost the tape.
If you come stand right here, I think we'll catch you on the out. Oh,
Yeah, well, we'll welcome you.
and is my face visible?
It will be, yes.
Okay. Hi, I am Kim James. I am a candidate for the Utah Legislature, House District 8. Which includes the entirety of the Upper Ogden Valley and a portion of the East Bench of Ogden, as well as a tiny bit of North Ogden and Pleasant View and one precinct in Morgan County. So pretty much everyone who would have anything to do with the Ogden Valley City would live within the District 8 in the Utah Legislature. And I would love to represent you folks. I've lived in Ogden for 13 years and I moved there from Colorado in 2013 because I was a United Methodist pastor and I was being assigned to the First United Methodist Church of Ogden, which I served for 12 years. I retired from that church last summer and I've been using this year ever since to almost the whole year to run for this office. It's a major challenge to get the word out to so many people over such a vast area. And so I just want you to know that I am a Democrat. I care about issues like affordability, having an environment that's healthy for our life in this great Salt Lake Valley, and having a government that's highly responsive and respectful for the will of the people. I think it's important to have a government that doesn't oppose the things that the citizens initiate and desire. When there's clear a vote in favor of something or clear polling in favor of something or against something, it seems like the government of our state ought to respect that.
Thank you very much, Ms. James. Can I just ask, is there somewhere, if anybody's looking for more information, you can kind of present that where they can find more information on you, and then we're going to move to see if any of our residents are online as well.
Okay, yes, I have a website, Kim James for FOR Utah, UTAH.org. And I have a Facebook page with the same, and Instagram too.
Perfect, thank you so much for coming in. Kathy, is there anybody online that has a hand raised?
No, just fine.
All right, we're gonna give, is there anybody online here?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna give people another minute to see if they would like to speak. Going once. Just to reiterate, since the group chat has been disabled, and that was as a reaction to some malfeasance that was going on. But we welcome and encourage people to participate online electronically. You just have to raise your hand, or you can message our IT director, Kathy Zindel, directly. Both ways will get her to respond to you. So going once, going twice, if you would like to participate online, please either raise your hand or chat message to Kathy Zindel. Okay. All right, we're gonna go ahead and close our section for public comment and move on to the business at hand. We have a consent agenda item to approve. This is for new business licenses. And we've got Brian Carver on the line, who has been handling these in Tia's absence, or actually maybe he's been handling them underneath Tia's tutelage anyway. Brian, are you on? Would you like to present?
Yes, hello.
Hi, Brian.
Yes, so I presented a list of business license applications for the council to consider and approve. We had a few come in early in July that due to a miscommunication with the county were not put forward at your last meeting for consideration. And so we're working to amend that and try and get these businesses licensed so that they can, in one case, maintain operation and in another one, open as quickly as possible.
Brian, I just want to make sure, because you had sent me an email and there was an attached document saying you had an update with one additional business license, but when I went to check it against what I received from you last week, it was the same 4 businesses. So I want to make sure that I do in fact have for the council the latest document you want for approval by them. And I can, in fact, actually, Kathy, if you wouldn't mind, in the packet file, there's a folder called business licenses.
Yeah.
And the approval list that says 7/24/26, if you'll pull that up on the screen and Brian can see. That's the one I got off of your latest email, Brian, and it's the same 4 businesses from last week. Was there an additional one from those 4?
Oh, no, that's correct. Those 4 are that's the correct list. I must have confused myself and thought I sent you a list with 3 earlier, but no, the Wasatch Roasting Company was the last one that we needed to put on the list.
Perfect.
So we should have all 4.
So, and so we have all 4, just to reiterate, since we've got Brian online, this is up for approval by the council right now. In addition, our 2 documents, they're up on the drive as well, but those are specific licenses. Once you guys approve, I'm to sign and we are to scan and get out this evening, but by later this evening. To make sure that business is taken care of. Is that correct, Brian? We're still on that time frame?
Yes, that's correct. Wait a second. Well, we've got Eden Bakery, Dale Fleming, Big Powder, and Wasatch Roasting. We should have the Hank's Bistro on there.
Hank's Bistro is at the bottom of the one I'm looking at.
It's not on that list though, it's
Separate.
it's a separate zip file.
Oh, no, but it is, okay, it's also on the one that I'm on.
It's not on this list.
But it's in the drive. Hang on, let me see what it's there. Eden Bakery, Dan Fleming. Big Cottage Tea Shop. Where is that? So I'm saying, there's 4 and that's 4, so we're missing 2 of the exact same one.
Kathy, can you put that PDF back up, please?
Yep, I was just looking to see if I was finding somewhere I would show you. Let's come on.
Okay.
So Hanks is not on there. Hanks is
And
not on
maybe,
here.
yeah. I just pulled this from a package. Okay.
Is Hanks on the list that we should and wish to approve today?
Yes.
Okay.
Just one of the big ones.
So, and so that's, so what I'm looking at is also 4, but it does not, it has Hanks, so let's, Big Cottage Tea Shop. It's got Eden Bakery up top, it's got Dale Fleming underneath, it's got Big Cottage Tea Shop, and then it says Hanks. So I do not. So we need the one that has Hanks and Wasatch Brewery. Or roasting, Wasatch Roasting, sorry. I'm blind. I can't see that far outside. Hanks Bistro Brew and Wasatch Roasting. Can you send one additional file to us right now, Brian, that we can pull up? And that way that is for sure the one council is voting on.
So yes, I do have one from Thursday, the 23rd, that has the Hanks Bistro.
Yes. But it doesn't have the
On it.
Wasatch
But it does not have the Wasatch Brewery.
Roasting.
That one I pulled Friday afternoon, but I don't understand why Hanks fell off of the Friday afternoon one.
Is it a simple?
These are reports I'm pulling from the Frontier application system, and if I look at the application for the approval report right now, it does not currently have Hanks on it.
Okay, it sounds like what we can do for council is have I can read out the 5 that are up for consent and approval. And they can vote to approve or deny. And then after the meeting is over, Brian, you and I will get together, because I need to sign this, and so we need to get the correct version that has all 5 for me to sign. Does that work?
Yes.
Okay, but verbally, we can have the council approve.
There's a whole zip drive with all the Hanks forms that you have to sign on here.
Yes, those, because that's for alcohol, and so those go strictly to the DABC, there's a different file I need to sign for everybody to have a license.
So within the zip file is the document you mentioned, Mayor. That's where it's sitting. So we
You open the zip file.
it's not easy. I just finally caused my computer to do it.
But it sounds like what we're able to do is do it, I can,
And there's a beer license. Kathy, is it easy for you to open the zip file if you're in it?
Yeah.
What if we have Kathy open them up and we can all look at them? And then we
Show
can,
us how.
and then we can vote based on what's in the zip file.
Cause
if they
you sent
exist.
things, you sent things in the zip file too this weekend.
no, that
It
is
was
me.
me.
Oh, you sent, zip file.
I uploaded, he sent them to everyone, and I got, just like your file, I got them on the shared drive for people. So you don't vote individually on his beer license, you vote to approve their business licenses, he is already approved under his zone. But this is something I will have to sign to get to the DABC.
And so it goes without saying, now, when we get business licenses moving forward, then Brian, you have checked that we're in the right zone and you're for the right purpose. Okay.
That's correct. That's part of the approval process. They don't come to you until those reviews have been made.
Great.
Okay, so in order to move forward here, it sounds like I will read out the say, so for approval of the new business licenses, there are 5. Just for clarification, there is Eden Bakery. There is the Dale Fleming, there is the Big Cottage Tea Shop. There is Wasatch Roasting Company, and there is Hanks Bistro and Brew. Those are all 5 that are up for approval in today's consent agenda. All in favor?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Exciting to see the roasting company. I saw their trucks. Beautiful. And where exactly is it located? It's a drive-through.
I think it's taken with a drip,
Oh, okay.
the drip closed.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's all.
they've changed ownership there. It's the shack at
Okay. Okay, all in favor?
I,
Any opposed? All right, Brian, if during this meeting, I know you're gonna stick around for the planning update, but if during this meeting, you can make sure I have a clean document to sign that has all five, that would be great.
All right.
Perfect. All right, moving on. So that was the extent of the special meeting that had action items to take care of. The rest of today's meeting is a work session, as would typically happen on Mondays, which is to say that it's discussion only and no action. We do have standing items that we take care of in every single one of our public meetings, work sessions or not. And one of them, as we start, since Brian is still here, is the planning.
Yep, thank you. The only update that I have this week is that we've identified a conflict with the proposed public hearing for April 11th, or excuse me, August 11th, to take public comment on changes to the shoreline zone. It conflicts with the already scheduled public hearing that you have for the truth and taxation process. So we are, after conferring with the applicant on a project that is waiting results from the proposed zoning change, we're scheduling the public hearing for the 25th of August. That should put the issue before you on your first meeting of September on the 1st.
Okay, so shoreline public hearing with the planning commission is going to be set for August 25th. And then pending if they forward a recommendation, it will come to us the following week. Anything else from planning?
Nope, right now it's just business as usual.
Yeah, Brian, I'm the mayor. I guess I've been asked to get clarification on the processes that are taking place to move these meetings. There's a little bit of frustration from the planning commission on this, that they don't have any say. They've been planning vacations around August 11th meeting, and now that's been moved. And so I just received a call from the chair on that, asking just for some clarification on why or I guess the process of it, so that they can have better understanding. If they feel like they're a little bit out of the loop now, based off some of the changes that have been made on the way that it was previously taken care of, and they just are asking for a better understanding of that.
Well, this one has been a challenge. I think we can certainly work on improving our communication structure between the planning staff and them. I understand their frustrations at pushing these meetings back.
Okay, Brian. It comes down to the planning commission serves at the pleasure of the city council. The city council has commandeered that date, had that in June. Yeah. City council business comes first, and that is a date that cannot be moved, whereas the public hearing for shoreline can be. And that is the reason for that.
I'd like to clarify, under truth and taxation, we had to identify and notify the county, and I believe the state, of a public hearing date in August. So that was selected early on, and I just think it's, it's what our expert panel said to be careful of, and that is getting siloed and having difficulty communicating across functions. And that's something we're hoping to correct.
Yes,
Well,
it needs to be corrected.
I can work with staff to make sure that we've evaluate the remaining calendar for the year and try to identify any other potential conflicts so that we can give some more predictability. Although, hopefully the planning commission is looking forward as well to the potential of 2 meetings a month as necessary. So.
Yeah. And being flexible, if there's nothing to discuss, no meetings will be had. So
I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is just not knowing what's going on. So
we've talked about it in every meeting.
well, I'll kind of agree to disagree with you there because it wasn't decided that the planning commission would be bumped. It was like, I'll look into whether.
They didn't have a date. The minute they had a date, we let them know, oh, that date's not available.
See, I don't see it that way, but we'll leave it at that. I just think communication is a good thing, so you cannot overdo it.
Agreed, that's why it's a standing item. Agreed. All right, anything else from planning?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian. All right, moving on to litigation update, Councilmember Hoagland.
Yes, just in a nutshell, we have filed notice of appeal in the truth and taxation case. I have not heard back, in terms of forward scheduling, but the work has been done, a brief has been written, and papers have been filed with both the district court and the Supreme Court, so more to come later.
All right, finance budget and truth and taxation update. This goes hand in hand to CMD with proposed property tax impact schedule. As was mentioned with the litigation update, things are still pending in the court, and so we will continue to proceed as we have been on these dual paths until we get a final judgment from the state Supreme Court. This means that we will continue to hit all the deadlines. This includes the August 11th student taxation public hearing. This includes having the proposed property tax impact schedule available to our residents. It's at every single public meeting, it's in the office, it's online for download, as are all of the budgets, financial statements and everything. So if anyone has any questions or comments or anything, please feel free to send them in. Our emails and phone numbers are widely distributed. And we've made this information as available as we can through articles in every paper. It's a standing item at every public meeting. And so on and so forth. All right, anything else?
Yes, to demonstrate we are participating as allowed in truth in taxation. There was a brief window when the temporary restraining order from the initial district court was in effect. And the state tax commission was processing our information that our treasurers, our finance director had supplied, as was the county. And out of that, we had 2 formal notices that were produced by the system before the TRO was shut down by the subsequent judge who made the merits decision on the case. We were able to take those 2 notices and post them in this issue of the Ogden Valley News, and we will also further publicize them as needed to demonstrate our efforts to comply with truth in taxation. Also, just to address, I think we addressed it at the last meeting, the county has emailed and or mailed the valuation statements to each property taxpayer. Sadly, those were prepared after we were not permitted to participate in truth in taxation anymore. And so any city related tax is really formatted under the unincorporated services tax as it was before incorporation. Weber County was good in noting in parentheses, this is OVC in parentheses. But we tried to also discuss that in the newspaper this weekend and hopefully eliminate any confusion that people might have. Done.
All right, if there's no further discussion, we'll move to item agenda 5, which is the discussion on vision statement. Councilmembers Hoagland and Baker requested this to be put on. Would you like to lead it off?
Sure. Is Christine on the line? No, ma'am.
She is, I just saw her come through, said she was.
Okay, maybe you could turn it to Christine and she can update us. She was not feeling well, but, you know, fortunately feels well enough to dial in.
Unless she's the person that's logged in on our Zoom account named me, I don't see a Christine.
I see.
I may be listed as Kathy. Is Kathy talking to herself? Or is that Christine?
I wasn't sure who it was. Alright, Christine, you got questions now?
Okay.
Christine cosplaying as Kathy.
Oh, can you guys hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, hi there. Yeah, it won't let me unmute myself. You probably know this already, but thank you for inviting me to participate. Kathy, I'm sorry, I was using your Zoom account a couple weeks ago, and I think it's got me pre-identified as you whenever I log in now. So I'll fix that. I apologize.
All right, I don't see any documents in the file for the vision. Is there something we're going to put up on the screen?
So, Kay, would you like me to just kick it off and then you take it, or do you want to summarize first?
Why don't you summarize where we are and where you want to go, by our Thursday council meeting?
Okay, excellent. So thank you again for giving me just a couple of minutes to catch up on this particular topic. Recently, I sent all of you a draft of a press release, which included the vision. And I just want to say to all of you, the press release format was really intended to help us visualize how the vision will be used in a public forum. And I believe I may have overstepped a bit in adopting what looks like a name change. It was really intended to be a placeholder for how we build the excitement. So please don't interpret the vision work as tied to that naming. It was just an opportunity that I was showing in writing. And then the other thing I wanted to let you all know, we each have individual one-on-one follow-ups. I've got 3 or 4. I've got Chad, Don, Kay, and Peggy tomorrow. We'll catch up one-on-one and we'll talk about what's in there that you like, what you think might be missing. But I think the uber point I wanted to make for all of you is primarily the concepts, of which I've counted are 9, are consistent within across all the versions that we've come up with. So the primary concepts, I think, are very consistent with all of the work we've done in the past. But I think some of the decisions that all of you need to think about is what's the right tone that you want to project. We could certainly write it in a formal tone with full sentences and paragraphs, or we could approach it in a more casual, folksy kind of tone, which is actually what I sent you most recently. The one I sent you was intended to be rhythmatic, if you will, where it was almost as if it was something you were going to memorize. These are the top 9 core priorities for the city in the form of a vision. But it doesn't have to be written like that. So we have a tremendous amount of flexibility, I believe, in the way in which the writing style, which we choose to adopt. And then the other thing I just wanted you to think about is it could be short or it could be long or something in between, but the length perhaps matters in terms of time and attention you might have for one's audience, or the amount of time and attention you might have to share the vision with somebody. Meaning, does it need to be an elevator pitch? Do you need to be able to say this in 3 minutes or less? So those are some of the questions I'll be asking each of you when we get together this week as a follow-up to what's been written. And lastly, I just wanted to mention, I do believe that by the time we get to Thursday, we'll have something very compelling to look at. It may be version A and version B, if it feels as if we need to go and present all of you 2 different options. But that's my intention going forward. So I'd love to have some feedback from any of you who think that's either on target or not quite where you think this should be going.
I almost think, if I could jump in right away, I almost think we should have one. We're getting so close to adopting this. Are we close enough, Christine? We can synthesize our thoughts into this one and present. I think two, we're gonna get a little derailed. And with the time constraints, not that they're pressing, but we've worked on this for quite a while, and I think we can narrow it to one.
Can I just
Sure.
get some clarification? Would you like Christine to present her sense of the one?
Yes. From listening to everybody's comments. Is that possible, Christine?
Yeah, I could certainly nail it down to one version. I want to leave it open though to the conversation that I've yet to have with each of you. I want to leave room for some variability that might take place in a couple of things, either content that might be missing or tone. But Peggy, I would love to do that, but I don't want to force it. I think this is an important decision. And if it feels like we need to, regroup and do another round, I'm game, believe it or not.
Okay, well, thank you. We're so happy to hear that, because we're so close, I think, that if after the conversations, we can do one, that would be my first choice. If we need to do two and look at it again, we should have that. Or so.
Chime in, my one rule for working with folks is always use your best judgment. If you think one could do it, fine, to present to us. If you want two as options for us to decide, that's fine. But I think you're hearing this team was eager to start visioning, starting last October. And we've learned a lot in the intervening months, and we're at the point where I think we can finalize it with any luck this week.
Would be exciting.
Yeah, and thank you for hanging in there.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. I do have a question for the mayor. Would you be interested in weighing in on this prior to that meeting on Thursday, or would you prefer to weigh in post in terms of what's already been written or some of those questions I was just asking about?
I can weigh in prior if you'd like me to. I know you sent me the press release and the infographic, and I wrote you back on that. So if it's ready, sure.
Okay. So I'll get on your calendar. It just would be nice to come into Thursday to feel like, all of your voices have been represented to best of my ability, but you guys get to decide.
Perfect.
And when you're talking Thursday, are we talking the normal meeting we've got scheduled for Thursday to do all this? This isn't an additional?
No, same meeting that has been targeted and will be noticed. Thursday at 6 o'clock. Okay,
Thanks, sir. All right. Anything else?
No, just so happy we're getting close. It feels good.
I have one more point to consider, and this is your project, your decision. But also, I thought it was so beneficial for you to talk to some of our volunteer staff who are so critical. Some of whom were involved in the visioning process. So that's you, that's Miss Kathy Zindal, CEO. And so, if you all would like to contribute, you are here as much as we are. So I encourage you to connect together. Because these folks have good ideas. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. If there's no further discussion on the vision statement, we'll move on to the city organization. Okay. All right. Item number 6. Another follow-up discussion on the city organization. Underneath, we have 2 separate agenda subtitles to make sure that we touch on both of them. And that is both roles and responsibilities for the mayor and council member, as well as staffing and organizational chart. Now, they might ask if you would please pull up the PowerPoint in the shared. It's under the folder org chart and R&R.
And I picked the one that you put in, one,
Yes, yeah, that'd be great, just so I can give a little bit of background information to start us off. We've got a number of presentations in that folder for people to have familiarize themselves with ahead of time. So the point of this presentation is just to explain and make sure we're all clear on where we began, where we've been, and then a recap a bit of the panel discussion and suggestion. So, if you'll go to the next slide. So this was taken directly out of the code and powers and duties, everything written there straight off of that. So, our form of government is a 6-member form of government. Which, as our expert panel said, the strengths are flexibility, the weaknesses are flexibility. But it does start with a default statute of powers and duties. So under this form of government in the city council, it is a 6-member elected city council, one of which is the mayor. Other than that, the city council has the legislative authority. You all adopt the budget. You set all the laws and policy, you have oversight with advice and consent. Separately, the office of the mayor serves as the chief executive officer, administers the adopted budget, makes appointments, enforces ordinances, and directs the city departments. Next slide. So a little bit of just breakdown into detail. The city council comes with inherent powers. All of which are laid out, these were taken directly from powers and duties, budget adoption, oversight inquiry, legislative land use, advice and consent. Part of the difference within this form of government is that since all 6 of us are members of council, I am the chair of the council, and within that annually we elect a mayor pro tem. So mayor pro tem has the job to step into the mayor's office while the mayor is incapacitated or absent. So, as you know, we've elected Councilmember Hickman for this year to be the mayor pro tem. He contains all of his regular council voting abilities and everything else, even if he were stepping in and being the chair of the meeting and things like that at the time.
Can he still put some?
He can
put
post it anytime he wants. Moving on to the next slide is further detail on the mayor's office. So the mayor is elected by the entire city. Whereas each council member is elected by district only. The powers and duties of the mayor can be taken away by the council through an ordinance. There must be an ordinance in order to take the powers away. Should be an ordinance to also give additional powers to the mayor as well. But without an ordinance, then the default statute remains in place. So the key responsibilities of the mayor, chief executive officer, all employees report to the mayor. The mayor administers the budget. Chair of council, those can be exceptions, makes reports to council on the state of the city. Ceremonial and meeting representative of the city. So this is both ceremonies inside as well as meeting representative external as well. Making appointments to all the offices and committees and whatnot, as well as there's language in there about administrative assistance to the mayor and enforcing the laws and keeping the peace. So these are the inherent default responsibilities. If you move forward. So this is what the default statute looks like. So it looks like city council, which includes the mayor. The mayor reports into the city council. All employees report to the mayor. All elected officials, all 6, are accountable to the residents. We move on. This is what we have been operating with. We adopted this back in December. And no ordinance or anything else, but this is what we had gotten together and discussed and agreed upon. We distributed the responsibilities of setting up the government into portfolios and assigned or accepted all the tasks spread out. So this is what everybody should be very familiar with. And just for the public who might be listening or might look at it afterwards, this is how we have been operating for the most part. And the reason for this was we had no staff, and work needed to get done. We had a large number of tasks to complete to set up the city. And it was an all hands on deck approach to that. If you go to the next slide, we'll start getting into a little bit more of comments from our expert panel. So they specifically addressed this form. Bill Morris in particular mentioned that Marion Slaterville had also originally started with that. It's very common for people to do that because it makes sense out of the gate without employees or staff or anything. The strengths of that are that council members are the ones doing the tasks and council members are accountable to the people. In all the cases, you know, especially for a brand new city, you got council members who have never managed or even set up a city before, so or in many of these cases, never experienced those departments that they are now in charge of creating. So council members are learning from the ground up, which is a great strength. It is also the cheapest option, and I put a little asterisk next to that because obviously. Well, none of us are being paid. It might be different in other cities, but so we're saving the city inordinate amounts of money by doing it this way. At the same time, mistakes get made, redundancies, things like that, or do over things that may happen, whereas if experts were there, they cost more, but depends on the law. Weaknesses, Bill Morris and the panel actually talked about this as well. I added in the fact we never codified, so the way that we've been behaving is not in line with the statute, so we need to codify that. Lack of expertise in ownership of these portfolios. Turnover with elections, these were all mentioned by the experts. No clear reporting structure, defined roles, no streamline in order to move towards our top priorities. And this model often leads to burnout and fighting, which we've seen. So, what had originally kind of started as an all hands on deck, we kind of assumed we go into this portfolio structure, but it has, you know, turned it more into a portfolio and a few hands on deck.
Now, that comment has come up a lot, and we need to talk about that openly too, so when there's time. Because I think we do need to address that issue from both sides, so.
Sure.
From all sides, I should say. Because I keep hearing that, and I don't think it's framed right, and I think it's the wrong narrative.
Okay. So I'm gonna finish this presentation so that we can get into where we're at with the panel. So at the next slide. So there were certain things that last week when we had our 3 experts come in, everything in blue were the things that they all 3 mentioned and agreed upon. The things in white, I wrote down key points that certain people had made. If anyone's confused about the DMV and all that, those are their initials. So in the experts all agreed, they said all agreed, don't fix what isn't broken. The 6-member council form is whatever you make it. This is both positive and negative. They all 3 prefer the administrative model with well-defined policies and duties. All 3 talked about how critical it is to have a clear reporting structure. They said they all agree to not sleep on transportation, that by not keeping up with your roads, you will absolutely bankrupt a city. Absolutely. So do not put that to the back of your mind. Whatever we decide, codify it in the city code. Staff and employees should report to the mayor. All 3 foot stomped that. Mayor and mayor pro tem would attend weekly staff meetings, and the city council would receive weekly reports on those staff meetings. And then they did acknowledge that in Ogden Valley City with the 6-member form, that legally it could be the mayor plus 2. It didn't have to just be mayor and mayor pro tem, it could be mayor plus 2. Council, that weekly update or that weekly report, all cities are unique and it's hard to quantify big versus small. They were all in agreement with what that meant. So basically be careful not to oversimplify and say, well, we're a small city and therefore, because it's nuanced. And then off to the side, I have a key suggestions. We have Duncan Murray's 6 key points to maintain at the top of your head. Bill Morris about city administrators, having all departments report to him and he would report, or city administrators report to the mayor. He did mention about the city attorney, he reports to both council and mayor in Mayorsville, and he said nobody wants 6 bosses. And Duncan Murray, foot stomped identifying what he wanted going after it with a great example about the open space city. Bill Morris talked about his 3 missed opportunities as suggestions for us to keep the top of our minds. And Madison Idealist talked about prioritizing continuity work and succession planning to create a master city operational manual. So I want to make sure everybody understood what the administrative model looks like, which is what all 3 of the panel suggested. If we go to the next slide.
Well, my notes were a little different, so I don't know if I misunderstood this, but under Duncan, he says that the council should have control over the department heads. There has to be a checks and balances. So I wrote, how do we do this? What are the best management practices, you know? So that was, so this interpretation, I think is great. It's your interpretation of that model. But I'd like to throw out a few other points.
I will just chime in. I got a transcript of the panel, cause we like to hear what we like.
Right.
And so I did a transcript this morning, which I can make fully available word for word. There's a summary of the transcript that was prepared. Again, it's not me.
Right,
It's-
I'd like that.
Yeah, it's AI, the summary is up there.
Yeah.
It was posted, it was handed out, and also we did a summary of the summary. AI did the top 10. I don't necessarily agree with what AI felt, but I wanted that as evidence.
So not to interrupt your
Yeah.
thought either, but that would be good. And
Yeah.
just
Excellent.
little differences.
That's right. In my notes, every single one said they like the administrative model. This is the administrative model. So in the administrative model, as you can see, the city council is the legislative authority, the mayor is the executive authority. To whom the employees all report, which can flow in this case through a city administrator. So the city administrator would have everybody reporting to them, then that administrator reports to the mayor, and all the reports go to council. The 3 pots that were identified to split everything into were the administrative or shared services pot, the community development pot, and the community services pot. During the discussion, it was, just so everyone's got the administrative or shared services, those are everything from IT and legal and HR and finance and everything else. The community development, planning, permitting, code enforcement. At one point, Bill added engineering back in, and we'll see that after this, but otherwise community services, engineering and public works. So the next slide just simply takes the administrator away in the case that we can't afford or whatever, or if we're moving, but I wanted to show what they discussed in terms of part-time or full-time. So that's what PT and FT need, and which departments, and I wanted to reflect the quotes that they gave regarding those particular positions. So, for example, in the end, it was talked about maybe doing a full-time community development director, but moving engineering over to community development director, which did spark Madison Idealist to comment, be careful of scope creep. And not allowing the CDD to become the CDD and city administrator. But that would enable you to have part-time public works, then you have a part-time turning into, I think they said part-time but then turning to full-time for public works. City administrator can be part-time, they specifically, or Bill Morris specifically mentioned that depending on the experience level of your department heads, that can help influence what level of experience or part-time, full-time you need for a city administrator, because you know, if you've got really highly experienced department heads, then they're taking care of things. So this is just a recap of our meeting last week. All 3 panels talked about their suggestion and preferred method being the administrative model. I concur. I think that it is the most clearly defined and everything has direct reporting structure and the roles and responsibilities are clear in that one. So. I know there are other presentations that people have put together. This is just mostly a recap of the statute, where we are, and what the experts suggest.
And I will footnote, to Peggy's point, and also to my point. The transcript, I'll put the full transcript of the panel on our SharePoint. We've got a summary and 10 points that will address it, and frankly, it's worth listening to again.
Yeah.
It's really worth listening, because we all have confirmation bias. And it's really good to listen again with just that much more learning from last week. I wanna make one other comment. It's like, I forgot about this little baby. Powers and duties. I had really been working off of the prior review, which actually had theirs. This one is, a new updated version, and frankly, it's very helpful. It's their take on what the default statute is. But it's helpful, and I encourage us to look at that when in doubt, easier to read than the code for sure, okay?
No, I know Don put some on there, but I also put one on there based on my thoughts after this. And I have to say, I don't know if I uploaded it right, and I certainly did not know how to do lines. So it's called a spider chart. That's right. But this is, Kathy, is there one for me on there?
I reviewed slides.
Huh?
I reviewed slides from you, so it's.
That was kind of like my response to yours, but this was an organizational chart based on my thoughts after listening
It's
to all
called,
this.
I think, work or chapter discussion, yes.
There it is.
And it
Can you
works.
throw that up there? Just because I think the discussion is important, but I created this based on no money. And the limited one that Don pointed out in his chart, we got what? 89,000 in one line item for staff, and then 97 in an administrative line item that you pointed out on that. So I wrote this one. Oh, no, that's not it. I got doing better, but no, it's the spider chart. Let's try, nope.
If you
Did I put is there another one for me on there?
Or an org chart to Don from Peggy.
Try that.
Section 2. Oh, that.
Is it got spider lines? No?
I have.
I didn't see them.
It said PG's brief thoughts on Don's structure.
Oh, no. Well, try it. That's the blue one. That's.
It is blue.
Yeah, that's not it. That was another one. Okay. Maybe, no, it's not on there. Sorry, Steve. Sorry.
You want to email it to Kathy?
If you want time to find it, so we can all look at it, because I'm intrigued by spider lines. But I don't like that personally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have 2 pages.
Okay, you go.
Okay, I have 2 pages. And Kathy, if you can put this up, and I printed out copies for it, I know, I'm here trying to show stuff and
Is it your decision criteria?
yeah,
I see work chart models right here.
it's decision criteria for a value worker. That might help us and took the notion of what I took from some of the panel was, decide priorities, don't chase small matters, don't chase what's broken, respond to your community. And I try to put it in words and standards that are simple and would be something I want to follow, and I'd love some more suggestions. You may have your own, but the 4 criteria keeping it simple. Number one, does it serve the people? You know, I think in this discussion, we've gotten busy kind of gazing at our navel sometimes, and we need to remind ourselves, it has to serve the people. That's what we're here for. Number two, is it consistent with our vision? And I will get to that, as we're finalizing our vision. My last slide is about that. So does it fulfill our vision? Is it embody that? Is it giving us a way to enact our vision, to act upon our vision? Third, does it reflect our top priorities? And this is an old, time-tested organizational principle.
This one.
We're building over there.
Oh, not next door,
Well-
Bill. Yeah, you can find the answer next door.
Yeah.
There's city employees next door. Thank you.
Well, but you know, the classic things you do when you're organizing in those situations is figure out what's important and make sure you prioritize that internally, you show your organization priorities that way. And from our discussions, I think it sounds like our priorities are community development and planning and related functions. Next is public works and engineering. And third is critical administrative operations. So those are what I view as the top three. I think we're close to that as a team. And then finally, this is the next one. Aligning skill sets with those priorities. Another way to say it is align your hires with those priorities, align expertise with those priorities. But you take the highest priorities and you take talent, whether they're volunteers, hires, contractors. You match them together. So that's those are the things I will look at. Maybe it will spark some discussion, maybe you have some more. My final slide is core concepts in our vision. And like I say, our words change, we're at the wordsmithing level a bit. But our ideas are really constant, and I broke out the core concepts that I believe have undergirded all of our vision discussion. Preserve and honor this heritage, this wonderful valley. Preserve and strengthen our rural status and our natural resources. Grow local business. Leverage tech for efficiency and to create community. Keep the special. I got this from Chad's comments the other night. There are many things that are special here. It's this place. It's also these people and the communities that make up this place. And then the last two are always ethics and transparency, and the last is fiscal responsibility. Under that, I bundle cost, efficiency, and effectiveness. So those are my simple guideposts that I'm going to use, and it's open for discussion. But we don't need to discuss.
And it's a good framework.
Okay. Did you find your?
Well, my lines move on, but I just sent this to Kim. But just that, Don, if you want to go next.
Sure, I see no reason to pull up the PDF that I sent on you summarizing. For me, it's most important that we create an efficient government, the systems of government that serve the people. I ran on that issue, singular issue, that I would bring my skill sets to do that. So my lens is creating an efficient, effective government that serves the people on whatever basis they need. I look at this junction of where we are right now, having led literally 3,400 people, two people to 3,400 people over the course of my 35 years. I've managed budgets literally up to $10 billion, not million, but billion, down to $100. So I've done this. I've created and organized 5 different nonprofits. I think we're all members of various nonprofits, and we've seen some of the struggles and some of what works when you've got an executive director who reports to a board. It can work great, it can work not so great. We are where we are, we've rolled up our sleeves, we've done. Some of us have more experience than the others in some things, some of us have more time than others. I'll speak tactically on a couple of things. You guys all got a background paper from me today about the public works manager, note that term versus director. Nobody's proposed to hire a director. A director would have engineering work for them and others and staff. What's on the table is hiring a manager to be that person who fully understands all the infrastructure of the city and does a variety of stormwater and other related stuff. Bill offered his experience, and I agree with him. I think philosophically, we would want a community development director who I would suggest is dual-headed as our planner to create that vision that Bill was talking about, have somebody who speaks for us at the right time. But as I mentioned in my email and PDF I sent this morning, I believe the most important hire is the public works manager. And I explained, if you read through what I sent, it explained how Sherry and I and Nate built the budget around that. Baked into that manager's salary is a bunch of stuff that's currently being done by engineering. So if we don't hire that person, engineering is gonna have to do it, and it cost us whatever it is, $180 an hour. The public works manager will cost $50. So at the end of the day, I'm coming at this thing with what is the most efficient, effective thing that we can do and should do. And I have concluded that it would be what I call option 2A in my slide deck, but it's the second to last slide that Janet showed, not because she and I included on it, but I have come to the conclusion based on my years of experience in this and listening to the three panelists that the right thing at this time is to, by ordinance, create a structure where we hire, to the extent we can, a city administrator, not a manager yet, but if we get TNT money, we can do them both. And by ordinance say that person oversees the staff, be they contract or employee, that person reports to the mayor, and then the five of us exercise our legislative responsibilities and oversee what the executive side's doing, be it committee structure or whatever we want. How's the budget going? Are you doing planning like we told you to do? Are you doing public works like we told you to do? So that's how I would organize the city. That's where I am based on everything that I've seen in my career, plus what we heard from the three. Questions? Okay.
Are we doing questions right now?
I like it.
To be presented. Because you had a question on the very first one, you never got back to it.
Yeah, I don't can hold that one for a minute, I think, because we're just sharing moms, I think, right now.
Yeah, just a question on remote. So you had said Sherry and me had prepared budget. What did you mean by, I didn't understand.
Well, as we were beginning the budget drill, I, as the person, remember how we separated the duties, responsible for public works and engineering, did
You looked at that.
my role to provide to all of us my recommendation for the fiscal 27 public works and engineering budget, like in theory you guys did for planning and permitting and whatever. And so recall there's a soup to nuts wish list of $850,000 worth of engineering, neck down to 350 or whatever it is in the budget we have right now, because we can't do TNT. But baked into that was the proposal and assumption, and is in the approved budget, of a public works manager to take on a significant chunk of what engineering is currently doing and be that person that literally learn every nook and cranny of every road, trail, storm drain, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how we got to it.
And I guess my question / statement would be, you said have systems in place that serves the people. And I guess not really a question you need to answer right now, but I kind of throw it out to all of us, and it's an important question that is kind of what I'm trying to better understand from all of us. Is your second part is that serves the people. And I guess that's the part that I think as the six of us, I want to understand that better from the six of us. That's my desire. It may not be your guys'. You've got, the cool thing with this is I've kind of contemplated the last couple of meetings we've had is I've separated some of the strengths that each of us have. And I think you've got tasks down. You've got systems down now. I think your background has made you very good at that. But my question is, what does it mean for you to have systems in place that serves the people? And are we getting closer to that? The 5, 6 of us, like, are we better aligned with that? Because it can be very drastically different. You know, we can have over here someone who says, I don't want another building in this valley. We have someone over here, I want to look just like Deer Valley, going over into Heber City right now. I want to go big like that. So there's two different, they're very big. My hope is that as we do this in the next week or so or less, that vision and not understood part of the soul of what we are comes closer together. And I don't mean it to be exact, but I want to understand that better. So when I think of the mayor and where she stands on these things, I go, oh, okay, I get it. I understand where Janet is. Where Kay is, I get it. There's not like questions of mine saying, I don't know where Peggy's sitting on this. I don't know where, it sounds like she, I just hope we can work more cohesively that way. And so that's fine. I'll just wait till my presentation keep going on.
Thank you, and I'm not offering a counterpoint, I'm highlighting, I think, what you're saying. I would invite us to think of engineering and public works as the today problems. Literally, there was a tree that crashed on at Gersten's and the dip on 1900. That's a today problem. Public works has got to be there to go fix the today problems, potholes, storm drains, yada, yada, yada. The tomorrow problems, the big picture, where we go and stuff is what we're calling, I think, what we're calling community development here, including planning. And it is why we became a city. We have resources available, and we'll have a lot of resources available when we get to do TNT, either this year or next year. We've got a consultant that will be down selected sometime in August. That literally is going to be prepped to provide with all the citizens a new general plan and a transportation management plan. The big picture vision is where we're going. So to me, the no kidding, we've got to take care of the people, is to make sure we're taking care of the today problems. And set ourselves up for success in the future problems. And I think we've got a bunch of tools in the future problem toolbox. And we'll have all the tools we're going to want once we can do TNT.
I just want to add a quote that I remember, maybe it's paraphrased, but I remember Bill Morris saying it during the panel discussion. Your being the 6 of us, your job is to provide the residents with services. They go to do a city. Cities, this is me paraphrasing. Cities have a city, there are services, pick up the snow, get the garbage picked up, do all these different things. Those are the services. The day-to-day operation of the city, that is the job. We have to have a budget that makes it happen. We have to make sure it's going on. That is our job for the residents of this city. And I think to Don's point, Public Works is that, right? He's overseeing at the moment, our contracts with waste management, our roads, our snow, picking trees up out of trailways and all that stuff. But those are the services that I believe the Morris was identified as our actual job.
So we're to chat.
Are we doing comments? Are we going to chat now or are we
I
waiting?
don't know, I thought we'd do all our models.
Let's go ahead and do all our months.
Yeah.
I think
I think he just finished it.
I finished.
Yeah, so
Unless you want to,
Well, my question is like, because we're having dialogue here, like, and are we fine with like discussing the dialogue that's going, or should we continue the presentations part of it? Because we're kind of part of it, not part of who we are, so I don't want to get us to derail and be here till 8 o'clock.
who all has presentations left?
I have a very short one, it's a summary, but it could go on.
Okay.
and I have my little chart that my lines are on, but I can explain it.
Okay.
I can get
Who would
them
like
like,
to go next?
yeah, if you want to. Okay, Kathy, the one little thing, and I don't know if it's necessary to see it, but visually, for visual people, what I thought was in this transition, we have a year, we gotta really think about what we're doing. It was, the urgency was so much in the operations piece for the last 7 months, everybody's burning out. I mean, it has been tough setting up and everyone, I think, has done a phenomenal job doing what they were doing. We were up and running, we got things moving, but this is now a time we have to step up who we can hire and what is the best way to do that, to onboard people. So when I heard Gamora say a community development person, that's what
I don't know if I want me to.
I just sent it to you an email. Just because what it had is kind of a phasing out of what we're doing, taking some of that responsibility away from everybody. And maybe more from some, reevaluating what a pain is and saying, I can't do this piece anymore, I can do this, having that honest conversation, but we're still gonna have to, we can't give this all to somebody. And it's next coming 6 months, I don't see that happening, but we have us and we have contracted good people that are doing their jobs. So how I looked at it was, so we talk about what we can do and not do to keep our life sane and to be balanced. And then we hire a community director. So here's us. So the residents are above us. Mayor still has all those duties. And then we break up some along the council members, but then this community development director takes all of these, and I know this is a big chunk, but I have to tell you, I think this is a big chunk, these two together is also a big chunk, because that's our focus. That is where we're going. So if we have one person that can oversee all our contracted employees and then report to whoever we decide, that's kind of, so it's a phase in. It's not, because we don't have a lot of money. Don's chart was $89,000 for a position, right?
Well, there's 340,000 in the approved budget.
But it goes in different
It
categories.
goes into different categories.
So-
155 is in public works and there's
Okay.
approximately 90.
So we have a total of $340,000.
Okay, but if we break that down for where it goes, is it all under a personnel budget? We can move it around?
Yeah.
Okay,
So I'll have
so that's it.
It's
But
fun.
we gotta start with what we can afford at each step. Because I think we have people we need to pay.
Agreed.
I think we have, in us at some point, that's gotta happen. But our volunteers and our directors of different departments should get paid along with our contracted workers. And then we should have somebody overseeing them to start, 6 months to a year, then move it up. And hire somebody over public works, then move it up and hire what we need, where we see our holes. I mean, I just don't wanna jump in too fast, is what I'm saying, so I'm advocating a smaller step process with using our funds wisely. Cause I'm planning for the worst, that we don't have money. This would be a chart to do that, plan for the worst, and then as we get money, then you step up what you can provide in services. So that's my pitch.
Can we call this proposal the spider?
It should have been, it would have been so cool to see the leg is all over, but sorry, I'm learning all this stuff. I need my secretary back.
Don't hold your breath.
I know. They were young and fabulous and did it in no time.
Councilmember Bruce.
Yeah, I'm as far as, I think what I'll do is just more summarize, because I didn't know where this was going. When Peggy and I put this down as an agenda item, I thought it was she and I, but it sounds like everyone wanted it, which is great. I've learned a ton and I'm actually glad we did it this way. I didn't realize that's the way it was going. So to not repeat what's already been said and what already been done, I'm going to try to summarize it the best I can. But I want to dig a little bit deeper into the roles, into the responsibilities of both the city council and the mayor. And then also kind of my discussion that I think has been a little bit misunderstood as far as my thoughts on the next chapter where we're going. And I want to emphasize, I think that the first 6 months, we were incredibly system task oriented, and I think we did a remarkable job. I think as a whole, we the chart that just was brought up by the mayor, and I was looking through it, and wow. That was impressive. There were certain things that it was listed under mine specifically, and I recognized, oh, code enforcement. Peggy jumped in and she just ran with it. There was even a time where she questioned herself, like, did I ever really get this responsibility? I was like, I sure hope so, because you're doing a lot better job than I would have done with it. And I just think that overall, we've done on the legal side, all of it. I mean, I just think that it's been remarkable. And I'm not one that's going to say someone can carry a bigger backpack than others. I know people time-wise and did that. And I knew that from the beginning. I was very upfront with it, recognizing some of my inabilities to put that much time in. But I think overall, we did a really remarkable job with it, and I clap for us. I applaud us for what we did. I think. But that being said, I think this next chapter is very important. I just totally coincidentally on my bike ride this morning ran into one of the original vision people who helped us out with this, and I was flying by and I noticed who it was. It was Kim Winkley, and so I stopped and talked to him for half an hour. And one of the things he said that I thought was really cool is he said, I went back and listened to your guys' meeting last week. He goes, I could tell there was some emotion and everything like that. He goes, but he said, that's not a bad thing, Chad. You're gonna have that. You've got to work through those sorts of things. And a couple of things he said to me that I think was just really, I needed it. It was like, wow, man, it was perfect time to run into you, because I've been stressing about it all weekend and like trying to figure out what I can do better to be better in the city council and put my heart and soul into this, but utilize some of my skills and abilities to best help with the city and help others understand where I'm coming from. You're realizing that I'm not a dump. I don't want to be a task-oriented person that can see things 20 steps ahead and tear into it and get after it. I will never be that, and I don't want to be it. I'm so glad we got it, Don, who can do it. But there are other things that I can do very, very well, and I hope that we can plug that in and let me run with it. One thing that Kim said this morning, he said, as I was kind of expressing my frustration with some of like the understanding of what I'm trying to explain on the vision side of things, because he said, Chad, systems without that being tied to either one back to the general plan or a vision is nothing. You can go do a system all day long, and I'm going to go back to, and I'm not sure if this is what you meant by this, Mayor, but you said our job is to provide services. I hope that there's a lot more to it. Maybe that's the job part, but like our responsibility, you could put a / responsibility is so much more than providing services. The services are hopefully a given of the task that we do to provide that to everyone. They can wake up in the morning and know their garbage is gone. They can wake up when there's a foot of snow and know that in time we're going to clear those roads for them. That's to me, again, nothing bad about saying who's the task-oriented people is the boring part to me. I just hope we get that taken care of, and we're very good at it. But the other parts of it is where we will flourish. We will become individually this valley that is just, to me, really, truly is crazy amazing. And that's why I'm here. I wouldn't be here if all I did was the systems part. I don't want to be here if all I'm doing is worrying about if my garbage is picked up today. That bores the daylights out of me. So I want to provide the other parts of it. So that's one of my little takes on that. I just think that it's important you understand where I'm coming from that. And one of the things I thought is important that we do too is dive a little bit deeper on responsibilities of what we are as in our form of government. I have spent a ton of time, thanks to Kay, challenging me to do it, digging into code, and I appreciate her. I've learned a ton from it. And what I'm going to present may not be 100% like code, but I'm telling you can go into Utah code and you're not going to get a lot of things outside of just the code wording on it. So I had to dig deeper. I've gone to Madison on it. I've gone back and forth with her to have her give me some understanding of it better, because I think we need a better understanding of our roles as city council, as the mayor, and then have that expectation set to say, mayor says, hell no, I'm not doing that. If that's what you want me to do as a mayor, I'm not doing that. Or city council, same thing. I'm not doing that part if that's what you want me to do. But based off of what I've seen as responsibilities, I want to throw it out there and then understand, is that an expectation we can rely on or we can plan on? So again, just a summary, it might be some of the things that we've already discussed today, But it talks about, I'm not sure why we continue to shy away from a weak mayor, that's what we are. The form of government that we voted in November. We voted, it was a weak mayor form of government, so I'm gonna use that based off of the wording I have here. Weak mayor role, weak mayor serves primarily as a ceremonial leader, representing the city at events, functions. This individual typically does not have veto power over the city council's decisions and often relies on the council for legislative authority. Responsibilities: presiding over city council meetings, facilitating discussion and representing the council during public engagements. Often involved in community outreach, but with limited power to enforce policies. Weak mayor functions as a symbolic leader without significant executive powers, responsible for presiding over council meetings, but has limited decision-making authority. City council consists of 5 elected members who make legislative decisions, approve budgets, and represent the interests of their constituents. Each council member may have specific responsibilities to committees they oversee. Another summary of the city council composition made up of 5 elected council members, each representing different districts, wards within the city. Role of council's legislative body to make significant decisions regarding city ordinances, budgets, and services. And then it goes through and lists some responsibilities: introducing and voting on local laws and ordinances, approving the city budget and expenditures, addressing setting policies, priorities for city departments. So that's kind of just an overview of it. Going a little bit deeper with it, that I think is important, based off of some key responsibilities of a weak mayor and a weak mayor council city government. I'm just gonna paraphrase some of the highlighted items that I just want to bring out and discuss as far as if these are roles that the mayor feels like she should be doing, and then same thing on the city council side too, based off the ones I've just given too, if those are roles that we feel like we should be doing. Mayor may play a role in setting the agenda for the city council meetings, determining what issues will be discussed, but this is usually subject to the council's approval. Collaboration with council. The mayor must work collaboratively with city council members to advance initiatives and propose legislation, relying on consensus building and negotiation skills. Community engagement. Mayor often acts as a liaison between city government and residents, addressing community concerns and fostering public participation in local governance. Administrative oversight. Mayor may oversee certain department functions or appointments, but generally does not have the authority to directly manage city employees or departments without city council consent. Overall, the role of a weak mayor is largely advisory and collaborative, necessitating strong teamwork with the city council to effectively govern the municipality. To effectively collaborate with the city council, the weak mayor should possess a range of essential skills, including communication skills, clear and effective communication, active listening, negotiation skills. The ability to negotiate and reach compromises is vital, as the mayor often needs to build consensus among council members who may hold differing views on issues. Interpersonal skills, building strong relationships with council members, city staff, and community stakeholders, fosters a collaborative environment. Emotional intelligence helps the mayor navigate diverse personalities and opinions. Leadership skills. While the mayor's power is limited, demonstrating leadership through vision, inspiration, and guidance can motivate the council and the community towards common goals. Public relations skills, the ability to engage with the public, builds trust within the community, and which can be advantageous for garnering support for initiatives. Collaborative effectively with the council. Adaptability and flexibility. The ability to adapt to new challenges, shifting dynamics within the council is essential for ongoing collaboration. By cultivating these skills, the weak mayor can enhance their effectiveness in working with the city council and contribute to the overall success of the local government. To collaborate effectively, with the city council, a weak mayor should possess the following key skills. Communication. I already went through that part of it. So last part that I would say is no, that's it. So and then back to the city council part, it wasn't as exhaustive, but I do have some things in there that talks about what we can do as city council better. And I can provide all this to us as we go forward, but I just thought it was an important thing as far as to highlight some of the roles and responsibilities and really get real with it. Like if there's something in there that absolutely we don't agree with, I need to know that because I've been trying for 6 months to better understand what each of our roles are better as city council and the mayor. And there's some things that I haven't been. I feel like we can be better at it, especially going off of both sides, whether we talk a weak mayor system, which in turn talks about it being CEO-ish too, but a lot of these things talked about in here is directly related to a CEO, a good effective CEO. So that's kind of my thoughts with that. And I think that's it.
If you upload it, that would be good. I think that was
Absolutely.
probably generated by Kirk Langford during the transition period. And yeah,
I can ask him, but I can.
he handed them out at the Candidates University as he presented. I remember we got to talk about management and to proceed much forward. He did some good thought in there, and I think it's worth sharing.
Is that where you got that? Or I thought you made this.
Well, I researched this about it from a lot of things from a lot of different areas. I don't know what it could have been. I don't know. This is stuff that I.
Yeah, so you keyboard it, load it up, if we just make a PDF, let's put it up there.
And that's one of those things that happen that we really, I don't know. I'm more of a, I like to hash and rehash, my husband says, so it's not once, it's a couple times I'm gonna go through. So obviously, so we campaign on a weak mayor. That's the language we use during that campaign. That was said, I was helping with the transition team, that was said, and then we made the shift. And we really didn't say, okay, this is the change. This is what's happening. So now we're in a different system. So I do think it,
Well, are we?
I don't know, that's what I don't understand.
I don't know that we are.
May I?
Oh, okay, so it's, we rolled the weak mayor into, because it's not really in the powers and duties.
Because it doesn't exist.
Well, why did we do that through the transition and tell everybody that's what we were doing?
Okay. But I wrote all the papers area, where I have a lot of it. And we use the term 6-member council form because that is the legal thing. People, and it's in the weak mayor is nowhere in this book, ours and duties in the league, and it's nowhere in the statute. The reason it has been called a weak mayor is it's compared to the 5 council member system. We're 6, but in this book, you can read about the 5-member council. And in that one, it's very much like the 6-member council, but the mayor gets to vote on everything.
It's not my point to bring that part up. I don't think we need to redefine the weak mayor. We understand that the reason the weak mayor is called the weak mayor is because the city council holds the power. Ultimately, the weak mayor holds the power on the parts that have been defined today on that. So that I'm not here to define that. I know that we keep going back to that, Kay. I don't want to keep deliberating on what that is. What my ask is what is that role then? If it is it nothing that I just read here, if it is not, then tell us that. Tell us that this is what we've never discussed that, nor have we never discussed what's been commented a few times. Well, they're carrying all the workload. We've never once sat down and said, you need to work this much, you need to work that. It's never been talked about. So don't bring that to the table if we've never discussed that. If you feel bad about it, then bring it to the table and let's address it months ago. But don't bring it as though you're mad about it now, once we've gone through it, it's like a rock thrown at us. So that's my point to this, is that we've just got to be clear on what our roles are with this, so that I can go forward, and we can go forward in a more collaborative understanding that I know what Don's gonna be doing. And I think what's happened is because we define those roles for the 5 of us, it helped us to understand what we were doing during that 6-month period. We all kind of knew that. We could critique it and say, Chad's not working as much, and it sounds like that was maybe the consensus of some of you, which is fine. I don't, personally for me, I knew I was going to, and so it doesn't bother me one bit. worked with Peggy, and hopefully I didn't overwork and overdo Peggy with that, and I worked with Dawn, and I worked with some people to help me out. That is power. That's power, recognizing I can't carry all backpack, but I'm gonna let other people help me with it and get the damn thing done. And that's teamwork to me. And that's the part when I hear that, I feel like, what is the teamwork in that? Are we gonna be able to go forward, working strongly together, so I don't have to worry about being accused of campaigning against someone, or that I'm not carrying enough of the workload? I just think that's unhealthy, and I want to get rid of it. I don't want to keep bringing it back up and carrying it on unless it keeps getting thrown onto me during discussions. I'm sick of that. I want to be able to come to meetings and say, I'm working well with these six. These six understand where I'm at, I understand where you guys are at, and let's be better at leading Ogden Valley.
I want to talk to two areas, and the first is the emotional one. I look at each of us having worked with them in our capacity. We worked as hard as we could. We worked as hard as time was available. We worked as hard as we could with our background and skills. We've all worked at capacity. We did an amazing job getting this place up and running. We all agree we're kind of tired, we need clarification. We need to step forward to the next stage. So I think we should declare victory and pat each other on the back. And this is not being judgmental, this is saying, we did it, Chad. I'm trying to get some my head. We, as a team, did this together. Seize the victory and celebrate it. And there have been harsh words said to me. I probably said harsh words to people. But you know what? I give each of you grace. I hope you will give me grace as well. That's my first comment.
Okay.
Sometimes you have to move forward. Okay. And let's forget the past grievances unless we want to start observing justice.
So before I go to that second, can I address it first?
No,
Okay.
this is my time. The second is about this week, Mayor. There's no such form of government. If I was the campaign manager for incorporation. We did not say vote for the week mayor. We said the sponsors want the 6-member council. And if you read roles and duties, this one never said week mayor here. That's what people voted for. That was what was on the ballot. And you know what? Why people voted for that? It's because the sponsors said that's the form we are recommending. Not because it was weak. This was the form they were recommending. Okay, and you know why they recommended the form? That's what Duncan and Wayne Pyle recommended, the 6-member council form, and they presented on it. They presented a lecture right over at Carroll Library. Go back and listen to it.
Because it distributed power.
It provides for flexibility. It's true. It distributes power. It lets, if you have a runaway mayor, you can pull her back. Okay.
But I interrupted, it was true.
No, but these are the experts here, League of Cities and Towns, and this is based on the statute. And our form of government is based on what the people voted on that was on the ballot. So I just want to make clear, I think what you have and you're referring to was from the chat. I think it was from the transition team work.
I know, but my issue is not that, no, so go ahead.
Your what?
My issue isn't what you're explaining. I appreciate you continuing to deliberate it as far as trying to explain to me that I don't know what I'm talking about when it talks to.
Yeah, I did not say that.
I know, but my point is, that's not my issue right now. It's not the issue of a weak mayor.
Okay.
I still don't know why we voted, that was in November. That's what everyone the 7,000 residents, or however many voted in their brain thinking we were voting for a weak mayor form of government. So I get that maybe you're above that as far as the understanding, but there's 80–90% of the valley thinking that we're running under a weak mayor form of government. So if you and maybe the smart 10% recognize it differently, that's wonderful, but we better do some educating to the rest of our valley residents that that is not the case, and that's my point. I don't care if it's not called weak mayor. I'll retire it, never use it again, if I understand the roles of what this mayor's job is.
It's in the statute and it's in this book. That's, I
So
was
the
not,
things I just read, none of those apply to make to our mayor.
I don't know where the source of that is. I think it's work that Kirk did and handed out on August 23rd.
So it's not into me, doesn't mean it, I'm just.
No,
trying to-
I was in that,
I know, but I'm just trying to understand the roles, so help me with trying to understand
I
what the roles are. Should we take time to redefine what those roles, and please, come back and redefine mine too, if they're different. Because I don't know what mine are then, because I'm basing it off of the weak mayor form of government.
and I'm saying that doesn't exist in statute or law. And also, I'm not trying to be high and mighty, I'm trying to be true to.
Well, that's
what-
educating me then, as far as.
Pardon me? And I'm happy to do that.
Okay, hold on, Peggy had her hand up first, and then I'll go to Don.
But Chad was gonna respond to the first part, did you do that already?
I wrote a note, and I think I forgot what the note was.
That's okay. I made a
On
look.
grievances?
The roles, so you said, let's be bygones, bygones, go, I'm totally fine doing, I want to do that, Katie. But I'm not going to do it if I still feel the level of. If I still think I'm gonna get mud flinged at me for what my rules were, what I felt like I did, and also snide comments from what should be the CEO-ish of our group, throwing a comment saying I'm campaigning against somebody. Never in my life would do that, okay? I may disagree with what's being done, but to throw, I just think is very petty. And if we can move forward from that in an understanding, that won't happen anymore, and I won't hear snide comments like there's been a few of us carrying more of the backpack than the others. I'm fine, I want to, if you don't think at this point, I want this Ogden Valley to be successful, you're crazy. Because if I'm sitting here, and this is not my personality to get fired up about this, I'm a chill person, I like to enjoy life and do things. But I have a lot of passion for Ogden Valley, and I wanna see it done correctly. And so if I sense that's not happening, then obviously you've seen what happens. I get emotional about it, and I hope I continue to, and I tell people that on a daily basis, listen. I have 100 different things I'd rather be doing than sitting in so many meetings that I've sat in. It is so not my personality to sit in meetings like this, but I've chosen to do it, and I will do my best for 4 years to do this. And this is what I feel is my best, is to be passionate about Ogden Valley.
May I have a
No,
personal?
I want this to move forward, so
Yeah.
I don't want this to continue back and forth. Peggy.
I think the grievance part needs to be addressed. It's come up, it's used in comments, it's thrown out there to the public, and I don't think that's fair. I think what we can do is look at clarifying the roles and responsibilities tighter. To include timelines, maybe we could start looking forward and saying, this is your role, this has to be done by this date. Because we thought planning was the primary thing, we gotta lift that moratorium, so we put all our energy into that, we made it in under time, with plenty of time and under budget. That we were given an estimate, we thought that was a good thing, we couldn't get to permitting right away because we were finishing the end of that. And Don, your urgency to get it done, you jumped in and did it, thank you. But it would have been the next 2 weeks we could have gotten it started. So I think sometimes you took on more than you needed to. We could have taken that off your plate, but it was not understanding the timelines. So I think as we do roles and responsibilities, for me, I would have to have more detail on timelines. So that would help us as we plan out, this needs to happen next, this needs to happen next. And then the other thing is communication. I would really like us to communicate better and talk more, and we just don't on topics like that. Because I can't do that right now, but if we could have a little longer conversation, give me a couple of weeks or tell me what, you think I need to be doing and I'll get started. So I think, things were taken on because of choice sometimes. Like you took on communications because you wanted to do that.
No, you offered it.
You know,
We are gonna have that.
We're not gonna go there, but anyway, what I'm saying is, I think we need to be clear, we're learning a lot in the 6 months. So I think we can take a lot off to help people feel a life balance again. We need to get there. So let's throw those items on the table, let's figure out what we need to manage them and take steps to go from there. I put the community development directors top on my list after I listened to Bill because I thought, okay, he could cover all of the contracted employees. So he could cover planning and engineering for a short term and not let it do we have to do job descriptions, operational manuals. Well, there's a lot of things we gotta get going. So I think instead of, feeling that way, I'd like you to toss it out. Let's help you relieve that. And let's move forward.
Don and then me.
Thank you, Peggy, and thank you, Chad. I'm in complete agreement, let's move forward. I'll reiterate what I said earlier. I have concluded, based on my experience and listening to us and listening to the panel, that the most efficient and effective form of government would be for us to hire an administrator at some level, part-time to begin with. Have that person in some sort of supervisory function of the departments. Have that person report to the mayor. We write an ordinance, first a resolution, then an ordinance that codifies this. Making a noun into a verb, but says this is the way it's gonna be. And therefore it answers the question. This is what the city administrator's role is. This is what the mayor's role is. This is what our roles are or aren't. If it's an administrator overseen by the mayor, then we are not overseeing in an executive administrative capacity the departments. We still have our legislative oversight. Drag Nate's butt in here and make him talk about engineering, but we're no longer administering. And I think that offers an enormous amount of clarity. It normalizes to a certain extent this city vis-a-vis almost every other city. And that's how I would go forward. I believe we can find nickels and pennies and dimes, but there's no pennies anymore, nickels and dimes and quarters, particularly in the short term, because the reality is there's an approved budget, 330,000-ish. We can find enough money in there to hire an administrator part-time 2 or 3 months from now. We can do that. But we may have to make decisions. If we get TNT, all bets are off. We've got enough money to do some form of this. I think there's enough money to have a full-time administrator if we decide that, and certainly a full-time community development director and a full-time public works manager. So that's what I would do if I was creating the org chart today. It would work similar to the mayor's second to last slide. We can, nickel and dime around in the 3 departments, but that's what I would do. It would clarify things unequivocally. The executive administrative function is here. The legislative oversight function is here, and we have clarity.
Is that giving any authority to the mayor that she doesn't already have under the statutes?
Well, I would make explicit, the mayor is the executive and the administrator of this city through the city administrator. So yes, because in our case, she would be the boss of the administrator, and therefore, yes. So it unequivocally, if we do what I suggest, it's all right there through the administrator.
Hey,
That doesn't
answer.
help me though. I
Well,
a little more clarity.
Well, so the stovepipe chart goes away.
Right,
Every executive and administrative function of the city. Everything from
I'm with
roads,
you there. I'm with you there.
everything goes through the city administrator
We got her.
to her. She's the administrator's boss.
And is that within the statute?
Yes, I will.
Well, Let me answer that question. We can argue whether or not it is. Let me answer the question. We can argue whether or not it is. I will insist on an ordinance that we vote on that says it is, therefore it's a moot point.
Well, not for me, I.
Well, but I'm saying, then the argument of whether or not it's in statute is a moot point.
Talk about the word structure if that's what we want.
Well,
That's what we're talking.
I have put on the table what I recommend, and I would insist that there's an ordinance that says this is the way it is. Therefore, arguments on what powers and duty and the law says, frankly, are moot,
I got
because the
your point.
ordinance is what matters.
I got your point.
May I quote? And I've been writing about this, I've researched it for 2 years, and then I'm gonna speak. You bet, but I'm answering your question that's on the table. On page 31, powers and duties. A handbook for Utah municipal officials, we pay these people. But page 31, under 6th form of government, 6th council form. It talks about executive authority. The mayor is the chief executive and the administrative officer of the municipality. And performs or supervises the performance of the executive administrative duties and the functions of the municipality. All employees of the municipality report to the mayor. Although these functions can be delegated to the city manager. And you cannot debate what the statute says, and these are the authorities with too many lawyers perhaps, but a bunch of lawyers are people who have lived in city government. And that's what they have said about this form.
So within the statute, though, it also provides that in some municipalities, the city council may reassign certain executive duties by ordinance under related provisions of the municipal code.
That's in this too.
Yep.
But it's like
And
the
that's
starting.
not leading to the ordinance should put that in.
Right, and we could do it different, is all I'm saying.
Exactly.
I don't wanna be just
Good
kind
point,
of,
yeah.
here's the one that you have to do. I mean, we need to talk about it openly and honestly about what we want for our city.
Absolutely.
And that's all I'm asking for, is that conversation.
And that's what we're trying at. And so I wanted to get back to and a bit of what Chad has requested in giving. Examples or details on roles and responsibilities of the two. So the reason I built the presentation, I built to show what the default statute is, which is under the council authority. The 6-member council's authority to change. But until we've passed an ordinance changing it, this is the statute. So what that is to be 5 district representatives are the legislative authority. Right? They create policy and pass law and decide on the budget and the direction and the overall, kind of vision of where this city is going, right? They have legislative oversight authority, they have all of that. They have advice and consent on employee situations, right? Or hirings and appointments. So there are very specific, what does that look like? It looks like either a monthly or, twice a month meeting. Where those things are on the agenda and in addition, reports in from the administrative side. What's going on in the city? What's going on day to day? You get weekly reports, but I'm sure the monthlies, just like we do with all of these, we report as much as possible because we want the public to know. But you're not doing, which Councilmember Booth was mentioning, he would be bored by it. You're not doing the day-to-day operation. That's the executive.
It's wonderful, I mean,
I'm still talking. So you're doing the legislative side and the overall oversight and all of that. Then separately, the administrative side is the mayor until you decide to hire a city administrator or a city manager. Which you have to have an ordinance to do, but still, and all that does, that person still would, unless you change this, but would report to the mayor, which the panel said that's the way you should do it. And then that person is managing the day-to-day, which is fine by me. I don't need to manage every single employee of the city or contractor person. So if you wanna hire somebody, you'll see that I'll be in agreement. And then everybody reports into that person reports into me, and we're all reporting to you all.
I got it.
So, but does that help clarify roles and responsibilities?
A little bit by ordinance, that's what I'm asking, whether, so I will go back and reread, because I thought there was a subsection 2 in there that I need to get clarity on. So, yeah, I just wanna make sure it's.
I want to add one thing that I would like to add in, that's my personal opinion. I didn't put it in my presentation because I wanted to present. This is what the statute says, not what, then this is statute questionnaire. But what I'd like to say, I'd like to add into council, to the 5 district reps' responsibilities are overseeing advisory groups, being co-chairs on advisories. That's not part of your legislative job.
Right.
But I would like us to write it into the ordinance when we declare what everybody's doing, that the mayor is busy with the day-to-day operations, that you all are the ones that will co-chair various advisory groups. So that's my suggestion on how to move forward.
So again, just for me, as far as understanding, I'm going to harp on it until I get a better understanding of it, and if it doesn't come, then that's fine. I kind of asked Don the same thing when he said put systems in place and then that serve the people, and I, asked him to say, well, what does that mean to serve the people? I'm gonna throw the same question to you that I think is a worthwhile question. Please don't answer it right now. I think it takes, but what does it mean to you to be the CEO of the city and CEO of whatever that is? Like, what is it? Because I think my expectations need to be, but I need to, and I believe the other 5, I'm speaking for you, I don't know, maybe you guys have it down perfectly, I don't. Especially after this crazy confusion of weak mayor system, I still think it's just, it's a joke, but that's what we voted in, nobody understands it, but, but I think asking that question is important. Give us the expectations that we can rely on based off you being the CEO. So that I understand better how you're planning on leading the city.
I'm just gonna, you told me not to answer right now, so.
I think it's fair not to.
Yeah.
I would rather have a thought out question answered.
At some point, we need to map a path forward. Is it, I believe it's our intent to be prepared to have a vote on Thursday night on the subject.
That's good.
Is that everybody's understanding?
But what are we voting at?
Well, that's why I'm asking this question. Well, that's why I'm asking this question. So in my mind, it is a resolution that says we resolve, whereas we resolve that we will pursue an organizational model of XYZ. My XYZ, I've completely transparently put what I would recommend we do, which is analogous to Janet's second to last slide, which is a mayor who oversees an administrator who is the supervisor of department. I would, if we're going to do this, that's what I would ask for, a resolution that's written along those lines for us to consider and maybe adopt on Thursday night. If there are other proposals, certainly put them out there and we can talk about them on Thursday night. But mine is as I've described, and the resolution would say this is what we intend to do. Presumably go forth and create an ordinance that makes this the case. And the devils have to go into the detail of the ordinance. Per statute XYZ, blah, 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 blah. The mayor does this, we do that. So we can get this done and we can have absolute clarity, hopefully by sometime in August, who's doing what.
Yeah,
Here's what I would like to see. A decision on an orchard. We've been talking about this for 6 weeks and it's really the right time to do that. If we prolong it and don't leave with a decision, we will see what we have seen up the last few weeks. And that is, it's natural when you go through redesigning an organization. Like that old book, Move Muchie. Or it's like I saw whenever it changed people's parking places or offices. It's very unsettling. It brings to the fore, it's change. change is uncomfortable, and we're talking about a big change in the way we've operated for 6 months. Depending on the organization chart we look. But back to what we need coming out of the meeting. In this part of the meeting. We need to decide it's this one or that one and move forward. Bear in mind, one of the statements of our panel across the board was, stay flexible. Move forward, but stay flexible. Okay.
And my thought to that ending was,
Yeah.
yes, I saw your slides. I think we need to have a different and wider scope under that category. I agree we need somebody to manage our who we hire. Public director, public works director, or community development director. I think we need to cast our net wider so we can cover more of those services. If we're hiring somebody, let's not go part-time, let's go full-time, and they can cover all the contract workers and take care of those phone calls and do all that. I think full-time for that right now in our valley might be appropriate, and then go from there. I don't know if we start getting, siloed people that take care of their area, if it's gonna help us as much. That, and I think then support staff is where we should go next. Our IT and recorder and an administrative assistant, if that's what is needed. That's gonna take a lot of that funding, and I think we need to start looking at how much is that gonna be. So that would be mine that I'm gonna toss out. I don't want to have Thursday's vote be who's gonna report to whose responsibility are, because I need to research, are we giving, that authority away? That's an important thing for you, you know that, and I'm trying to be very open about how I feel about that. And I wanna make sure, because we voted to keep the power distributed, I wanna make sure it is. Then we need to have checks and balances, I said, built into the system, so what are those? And what are those checks and balances? So that's where I'm gonna be coming from on Thursday. I wish Dee was there. I'm sorry she was the compensation.
She'll be a little much
Over the power. Good, Thursday. So good, because I hope she's, preparing Thursday, because this is a lot to throw in.
So. Is somebody, I know I've asked for resolutions to be written for the votes that are being taken on Thursday, because. What helps you voting, and so I've asked for resolutions to be on the name, the vision, and the city org chart. But now you've put out a couple more requests, and so I'm not sure if that would be in those resolutions or not. So you had just said you wanted to know exactly what the checks and balances were, and exactly like a little bit more detail than I think was originally requested in resolutions initially. Maybe that's more of the detail that's going in the ordinance that
I
follows
think
up.
that becomes the next stage of bringing this to life by ordinance. A resolution can tell us the direction.
Now,
What the detail will follow.
I mean,
Yeah.
if we have some basic things,
Yeah.
I need to see it ahead of time, team. I can't get it the day I'm walking in the door. I mean, I need to think about it and look at it.
Here's
So
what it will be.
what do I need to do to help? I guess was what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say, is how can I help you with this? And what kind of piece can I take?
I will draft this under Corbin's supervision. He's a little pissy with our case, but I envision a resolution that says we hereby adopt the attached organizational chart to guide the development of ordinances on our form of government and our operation thereunder. And what we can attach is whichever org chart created, whichever we can, a majority can agree on. But it's just saying which org chart do we want to pursue?
Right.
Yeah.
That I was with that, there's,
Trying
that's
to
a step
really
forward.
keep it simple.
That's a step forward.
Yeah, I'm trying to really keep it.
How are we going to do that? Well, it's that question too, it also falls under the other big time topic on Thursday, is the naming, like, how does that happen? I've had people ask me, how are you voting for it? Like, she's gonna throw out random, go around and vote, and I don't understand the process of how we're doing.
Answer just because.
We can answer the first one first as far as the org chart, like. how are we deciding which org chart to go up and say, are we going Peggy's way or Dawn's way or Kay's way or Chad's way?
So, well, I mean, easiest to start with the name, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so just like any other agenda item, someone makes a motion. Right, and so someone can make a motion to adopt the name A. And there needs to be a second for it to stand. So if someone seconds, or you know, and A fails, like a second, if someone seconds, if the motion's on the table, we call for a vote. If 3 people vote in the affirmative. Name A, we're done, that agenda item checked off, and then the resolution is left blank. And when the vote is happened with the name is typed in, and that's the resolution we adopt. Which maybe, does that mean we need a second action item of then adopting that resolution? Or combine language on it?
I didn't follow yours. I didn't
But
understand.
we'll get down to the logistics of whether we need 2 actions to vote the name and then vote to adopt the resolution, or if we just have a combined language that discusses that. But
You can do it in a resolution.
But so, I think that's easier to explain. The org chart would have to be something similar. How do we want the city structure to be? Someone makes a motion, I want it to be X, and somebody seconds that, but only 2 people vote for it and 3 people vote against it, that fails. Or no, 4 people, sorry, because I get to them. And so you just say, okay, do we have another motion on the table? And or is there another motion to be made? And somebody else says, I vote for Y, and it doesn't get a second, and it fails. I vote for, you know, M, gets a second, and a majority says yes, great.
Where's the discussion? Is there any on Thursday before that, or is it just straight to the vote?
Technically, and this is just Robert's rules, technically, motions can happen with no discussion whatsoever. That's just a technical response to the question. But we have always, the way we have behaved, doesn't mean we always have to, but the way we have behaved is we introduce a topic, we have discussion, and we call for a motion. I know there's gonna be an audience that wants to get down to business, and I think we've all talked about this stuff ad nauseum. I mean, maybe not, but names, I think we've had multiple meetings where people have just repeated their same stance. I don't know that everybody needs to repeat it, it's been public, you know, voice, audio, clip.
You should expect there's gonna be discussion about the names.
Yeah. Okay.
There will be.
Alright.
As as there should be, there will be,
Yeah, I think there will be.
there will be.
Do I read that one, and then do I need to write a resolution for that?
Well, lawyers make
I
resolution.
know, that's why I was wondering if I could do it. you know?
No, that's why, so you sound surprised when I said I've asked for a resolution. I didn't ask you, I asked the lawyers to write
Okay,
a
it was all-
resolution.
okay, I'll be
No.
happy to jump.
Lawyers write ordinances and resolutions.
Okay, so I don't need to worry about that. What can we do then for that meeting? Just,
So what I would suggest though, since you did mention it, but I think what we cleared up is that the information you were talking about, the more granular details that you would want to hear on Thursday. In the end, I believe I heard you say you're comfortable with more of an umbrella vote on Thursday. And the granular comes afterwards in an ordinance. This would be a resolution on Thursday, which again, to actually codify any city structure or movement of any of the default statute must have an ordinance, not a resolution. So we do a resolution on Thursday and it would be followed by an ordinance with more detail.
so far with this discussion, I am comfortable going with a layer of supervision and direction above our contracted folks to manage and do that, you know, support.
Okay.
I'm not comfortable going any further than that right now. So, and I have to investigate who they report to, because that is gonna be so important for the future of our city and the direction we go in. You know, that is really our thing, so I really have to make sure that we're doing the right thing.
Okay. I was answering his question. Was there anything else? Okay, so that's. We're hoping to have a Thursday, we're gonna have the resolutions on those 3 topics. Right now, those are the only items on Thursday's agenda, those 3 topics. They're big topics.
And the vision seems good though. I mean, we're getting close.
So everyone's aware, that's what you should expect on Thursday. It does not end the conversation. It's like the budget. The budget can constantly be adjusted and looked at. Just like that, we're gonna have to have follow-ups with ordinances, we're gonna have to have details, we're gonna have to figure out how much pay people are willing to work for, because if we don't offer enough, maybe we don't get anybody, and I mean, we're gonna have to, it'll be a work in progress. Yes, ma'am.
And there's a way to resolve that on profession, the pump study by volunteer. Office last summer, who's a professional pump analyst. And there are ways to quickly get information that she has done. And also, we're going to have to see what the market is.
So it is 5 minutes after 4, and I do want us, if it's all right, that.
Yes.
I have a hard stop at 4:20.
4:20.
I'm walking up
It's
to
giving you
4:20.
15 minutes. All right, well, we have exactly, no, we can lose you.
You can lose me, I'm walking out.
All right, well, then let's use this time. So, discussion additional advisory groups, this was put on the agenda by a number of council members. We have had comments in previous meetings about wanting to put together a business association of some sort. That might be the wrong word to use, I'm not sure, but we all know what a business association is, so I use that word. But these are advisory groups. Financial advisory was brought up. I know we have a financial committee that's kind of internal with the mayor and 2 council members, finance director, but having some citizens involved, but I was further delineating that between maybe a grant funding advisory group, some of these people that are experienced in writing grants. We lose our perk of the included the grant writer of JUV at the end of the year. We'll have to start paying for that service if we want to continue with JUV, is my understanding. Maybe we look at some internal residents who have experience in writing these grants if they want to volunteer. Economic development, some of our brilliant residents who can help with vision and seeing how we can boost sales dollars and sales tax dollars and things like that. So weed board, coming out of a meeting that we had with the Weber County Weed Board, if we, if when complaints go to the county weed board, because we are our sovereign municipality, they send them back to us for our code enforcement to deal with. If we want them, if we ask them, we have to pay them to then go and deal. We have code enforcement in place, we can work it inside, but maybe we want to put together our own advisory group to kind of internally handle these things. And then any others that we've discussed, events committees, water, seniors, youth, things like that. So. I turn that over to you. Lots of council members wanted this brought up for different people wanted different advisory groups. I do think moving forward, it should continue to be co-chaired by a council member, so I would put this back to you guys, and what would you like? And who wants to co-chair what, and who wants to drive creating which advisory group?
And timelines, I think it's important, because as we have to get rid of a few things before you can take more,
Good point.
So when is that happening, and when is, I would be happy to help with one. I can't do more than that right now.
Does anything speak to you? I wrote others so that it didn't have to be.
Yeah, so I'll take one that's necessary to be done, and just help facilitate it, but I think some of the big ones we need to have now, I would like to see, and it was mentioned, to find out if we're getting all the sales tax coming to us that we should be getting. So I think somehow in a finance, that should be a top priority, because we're looking for revenue, we gotta be scratching for it. So I can help with one, and if that's the one that's the priority, I'd be happy to take that.
Anybody else have anything glaring that they wanted to jump on?
Well,
Yes, go
Oh,
ahead.
no, go first, sorry.
well, my thoughts on this is, I think it's an amazing, I think we have to have the advisory / volunteer boards, but I think jumping on it, I think the key is to open it up, and whether we put an article in the paper asking for, because I have had constant people wanting to be a part of things. And it's so encouraging as far as Valley residents wanting to be a part of our Valley success. Right now, we just got an email as we sat here from a volunteer who wants to be part of the social media group. So, and it's on a daily basis. So, I mean, I think that we should not limit ourselves. But we should limit ourselves based off the timing, if we're each involved with having to oversee it. But that might mean we can take on oversight of 3 advisory boards if we have confidence in those people who are in charge of those advisory boards. So I don't think we should limit ourselves, because there are so many opportunities within the valley to bring about volunteers / advisory board. Maybe be as simple as litter patrol that goes around on the trails and they designate certain areas that it be that their spot there, or trails committees, and there's so many opportunities for it. You know, reservoir committee, that is, you know, there's so many. So I don't think we limit it to that financial ones. But people say they would love to be a part of that, the business growth, stuff like that.
I see 2 buckets here. One is the advisory committee. These are what we set up under resolution. And they are to advise us on policy. You know, what do they think we should do in the naming? On the ag committee, they're advisory. Okay, so my first approach on this would be the business advisory committee. It follows what we did during last summer, which was to have both an ag roundtable, business roundtable. And Chad really spoke a couple of meetings ago too. He's been approached by a bunch of different business people saying, hey, when can we get heard and how?
In water.
Yeah, and water may be the second one, which is gonna be complicated, but would be a good second one. The other bucket is volunteer work. We already have volunteer. It's not an advisory. These are volunteers who do work. Functional work, task work. We already have a volunteer who stepped forward to do the task audit for us. We have volunteers who have stepped forward. We blew past it on the agenda, introducing a new communications volunteer. We already have someone interviewed, who stepped forward, has time available. And also, we have the treasurer volunteers. We're interviewing tomorrow. Those would be volunteers. But let's be careful to distinguish what the purpose is. Is it advisory or is it to do work? Because we need to do both. Create vehicles for people to volunteer.
So what I put on the agenda, based on the conversations I've heard from council members, and what I'm requesting back from you all are advisory groups. And since they would be co-chaired by the council member, the way they have been so far, that does not in any way mean that the council member is doing all the work. Let's look at the naming committee that got co-chaired, right? This was an independent body, but they had a member of council to be with them and help them to stay within what the council is interested in receiving, right? That's not a good way to put it, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's not for a council member to do all the work. It's that they co-chair. And so my question was, based off of people have requested this to be on the agenda. What do y'all want? Which ones are you, because then we can go to the paper and say, just like we did with Dark Sky, we're putting together Dark Sky. If you're interested in being on Dark Sky Advisory Group, please let us know. Email us, but we can't do that until we know which council member is willing to co-chair. So then we can put that in paper.
So, yeah, we can add to it by saying, sorry, go ahead.
No, so that's what I'm asking of you guys.
Well, I just think adding to the article, we say, and if there are other advisory boards that you guys have interest in, please recommend those and we'll take those into consideration.
Oh, absolutely.
That was really one.
Definitely.
Well,
I
I think the finance one is surface for me. I think it's one we need people to that do this work, look at opportunities and missed opportunities in our belt and advise us. But I'm not on the finance team, but
And I think that's a good one to talk with Sherry about. In terms of how that is an advisory board, is it an arm of finance? So some cities have citizen finance people they routinely meet with. And I don't know if it falls into advisory board or not.
That was just going
That's okay, yeah, it works, okay.
Is there anything anybody wants to step up for? Otherwise, I'm gonna move on, but you all asked me to put it on the agenda. So I
Yes.
signed it off that no one's.
It's not a question and business. The question is who would want to co-chair the business.
Okay. Does anyone want business? If there's no interest from the council member, then there should be no advisory, group,
Right.
because we shouldn't have groups for.
It's not for lack of interest, I'm just trying to think about it. I know Huntsville set up the other night to start theirs, so I was thinking it would be nice to work with Jim, who was, and some of the council members who was doing that, so that's something I could try. I could do,
What group did they set up?
well, they're starting their business group, so I'm just thinking, how to start it, what can I do, and
There's already a group, just so that there's a starting point, there's a group in the valley that, I forget, they call themselves.
disband.
No, that's the old business association, there is a group that meets monthly, they've taken a little bit of a hiatus, I think the last one.
Aren't they?
Sorry, I don't think they're official, there is a BNI, there is a group that meets.
What does that mean?
BNI is the Business Network International, it's an
It's,
actual.
you pay to do it, maybe you.
Oh.
That's.
You're seeing the ad committee then, it's yours.
So,
Yeah, I'm continuing to do the ag committee, and I'll have room to do more, just not next month.
Soon, yeah, and when you're ready, that's why I think we should have our list, and when someone's ready and can do one. we
Where's the
do.
board fall, is that under Les's tutelage right now as far as his?
Well, the Ogden Valley Watershed Action Group is a nonprofit that meets regardless of what we do.
It's not technically an advisory board of the
There's,
city.
now, I've been utilizing them through engineering to get a bunch of stuff done, to include stormwater. Eventually, we should have a water group, but.
Yeah.
But, Les's domain is not all of this is water.
so what?
But at some point, we should do water. I'd be interested, it's just not the next 2 months.
But let's put it on the list, and when the time
Yeah.
frees up and you can do something that you're interested in, then I say great.
Yeah, it is.
I would be happy to do the business group that's currently working in the valley and see what we can do.
Okay. All right.
I need this, I need this, keep in mind, what are we going for? Helping, what it would be,
Well, okay, she's about something, I've got 3 more minutes of your time here,
So I would suggest you go to number 10 real quick.
first, discuss council coverage and operational readiness.
And the reason I would is I'm gonna be completely out of the woods. And Nate and Matt are covering for me within their authorities on engineering. If a decision to spend government money has to be made, I don't know, the roads blow up or something, it's gonna have to fall to one of the 5 of you, 1, 2, 3, 4 of you. There's no redundancy built into Public Works, because I'm the only guy whose name is on Public Works right now. So either we agree that it'll go to the mayor to make a decision in the case of emergency, or one of you 3 need to say, send Public Works to me so I can make a decision. I've only got a week, but if something blows up and there's money that's gotta be spent, it's not Nate's place to spend money, it's a government official place to spend.
Nobody can spend money except
Yeah.
for 6 council.
so maybe it's more of a team approach.
Okay, well,
Maybe it's
You
2
should need
people,
1 person to call.
right, but then there should be 2 making that decision to bring up, or we would bring it here.
well, let's say North Ogden Divide slips, and we gotta make decisions. I'm gonna suggest that call goes to the mayor, and the mayor energizes the 4 or 5 of you, 4 of you, and say, here's what's happened, here's what I recommend, make a decision.
For right now, I think that's great.
I'm not trying to give her extra duties, that is really just to make sure that the government functions. Well, not stepping on that subject, what I'm trying to do is make sure government functions.
Alright,
Okay,
okay, well, I think what I'm gonna do though is that's a broader conversation we need to have when the full council's here, because everybody needs to make sure that their particular departments are covered, while we're transitioning into whatever we're gonna transition into. And so we can, I guess, either add it to Thursday or keep it, I'll decide that, but one second, I don't know. Anyway, we're about to have a month of everybody having somebody on, so. I believe you already touched on the communication volunteer, the treasurer, and the office. No, you did, okay. You didn't,
touch on.
See you Thursday.
Yes, okay, we're almost there. I do have some announcements
This
that
is
people need to.
very, in response to an ad for social media. Very strong communications expert stepped forward and is now willing to step in and give us 5 hours a week, and there may be more in the offing. To help with social media and with the website.
So we'll get a page, a social media presence.
She will design it. Let me give you a bit about her background. I just said that. That's what you have seen. I apologize because I had her possibly joining us online, but I think we're past that. She's a communication professional, 20 years plus, writing and editing. She's been communications director for the state trust lands administration, communication director for state parks and recreation, Salt Lake City, and a bunch of other really very broad, comprehensive communications experience. So I feel like we're very fortunate, and I think this is one more example of how great our valley is. With it, it's just rich in talent. And I think, when this is the second time we've done targeted ads for people to come forward, targeted articles. Dina,
It's a response to a targeted art.
yeah, Dina stepped forward and she's totally delightful. Her name is Dina Loyola. And Dina stepped forward, highly qualified, and will help us not only with that, probably setting strategy and communications as well. And tomorrow afternoon, moving on to treasurer, we're interviewing 3 highly qualified treasury volunteers. And we have realized to create redundancies and backup. It's not just for treasurer, we'll look for other roles that might help. So I'm feeling, Chad, to your point, I'm feeling very optimistic. If we're specific and ask people for roles, they come forward. So it's been very helpful.
And I just think to the point of the social media person, I mean, I do think, what's the process once again of saying, I have no idea, I'm not using this person as an example, but what if she's horrible? What she does, I'm not saying she is, I'm saying person X is, and we just say, oh, she looks great, she's puts this on her email, and we're like, oh boy,
I will do
in the
this.
80s,
Yeah,
trying to put social media thing together.
This is responsibility, and it's in my portfolio, so I will take responsibility if a volunteer is not doing what we need to be done. That's a matter for discussion, and it's for the person who is in charge of that.
So I will say that one of the comments at the expert panel was, it was one of the missed opportunities, I believe, when Bill Morris was talking, that he said, be very careful and upfront with putting together your HR policies, your procedural manual, because personnel issues will erupt the minute you involve personnel. And they lead to lawsuits, they get very expensive, they cost money. So I think what I heard you say was, if the person ends up not doing what the key deliverables that we set out, how do we have a process to remove? Do we have? That's what
Can I jump in? This is a volunteer.
Well, yeah.
This is a volunteer, and I think we've been working with volunteers throughout, and so. We don't need an employee manual to deal with or work through with volunteer, but let's table that for a later discussion. It's interesting.
I just real quick want to just say on this one, because it's a hot topic of mine for social media, because
Sure,
I think that it's important. Because you have an array of talent in that world, and sometimes a 15-year-old can be 100 times better than a 50-year-old, and I will admit that, just because of their ability, it's like second nature to them. So I do think that's an important position to volunteer for and put in. And so if you're just saying, making the decision based off of, oh, they look good and I can get rid of them whenever I want, can and so again, I just putting my opinion on it. I think that's an important position for Ogden Valley. You want a vibrant exciting social media, someone who could get out and take a picture of this and that and everything and us and make it so people want to go to it. If you don't have that, social media is dead and it'll do nothing and it'll be blah.
The proof will be in putting, but volunteers, we can.
We've got, oh, absolutely, I consider ourselves incredibly lucky with what we've got.
But it does set the tone for us, you know, they're gonna be the one writing.
Oh, absolutely, and volunteer or not, I think we need some understandings in place, because when you do, just for example, social media, if they build it and they're the ones that we access in, and we don't like what they're posting, they have to give up, like, it's not as easy as just letting them go, they still have access and stuff, so there are.
This was part of trusting. Trusting the manager for the area, and it's just like, if we didn't like the way Sharon was doing her volunteer role. We would be coaching her.
Hopefully you, oh, we don't,
Well, yeah,
we don't coach.
Oh, we've done a lot of.
Okay.
Starting from that.
I'm getting this, and people are getting antsy, and I want to make sure that we get it, because there are some comments that need to be.
I have some council comments.
Yes, so we can start, you're actually the number lowest in the district today that's present, so let's start with that. Go ahead.
Great. So thrilled the 4th of July was quiet at my house. I hope everyone else, or July 24th, Pioneer Day was so quiet. I was so happy and that went well. I had a nice town hall last week. I really encourage us to do it, even though we only have a few people coming in. And I had such great feedback. It was really nice. And Jim Bird shared his ideas for naming the city and then forward that to all of you, so that was wonderful. Kathy and I are working to update the land use code, take it off the adopted page, get it on the front page, so we're working on that. Did my first credit card payment today on the QR code. Bill came in and we figured it out, it worked, and Sherry said she saw it. We're working on that process through permitting to go right to city inspect, you know, because right now they have to manually put it in. And then it goes, so once we get that express pay, it'll go straight through and go right on city inspect, the QR code with the credit card, so that's good. Last thing is a crossing guard. I have called every school district everywhere, and there is a code, it is 416A303.
Yeah, sorry about that.
416A303. And it's the operation of speed zones, warning lights, school crossing guard requirements. And of course, each local highway authority has to provide the crossing guard. So I think 1900 is a city road. I think we might be the highway authority. So what the Weber County School District advised, I had a nice chat with them. They said every city does it a little differently, but it's whoever has the money. So the cities will provide it, or he said Weber County has an ILA for some cities. So I'm going to recommend, after all these calls, that we and I can do this. I can call and see if they would engage in an ILA to provide, we would pay them for the crossing guard at Valley Elementary and get good agreement with us, because it's not just the crossing guard, it's training and substitutes.
It's supervision.
I don't want to get the business that's doing that.
The person who does it now has done it for years, Bill Krager, why wouldn't he just continue to do this?
Right, we hope he does, but who pays it?
And
Is the
who's
question.
Everybody, or is he there?
So we'd like to keep him with Weber County as an employee, because we don't have that.
But then the code makes it sound like he who owns the road is the employee.
It's like,
Can we put this as an agenda item?
Oh.
Because it sounds like a bigger,
Next Monday,
which we are next week.
Absolutely.
Except for this Thursday, which is 3 items on, so.
just heads up, so I'll put it in the next
And
Monday.
then that way we can have
Yeah.
full discussions, it's, yeah, interesting.
Yes, it is interesting, so, and he's a lovely man, and although he keeps hinting at retirement, so. That's it for
So
me.
that was District 2, District 3.
I don't guess.
The only thing I have is Weber County Fair, I was hoping to have something in place for when and if we name the city. Change the city's name, that will have something for that, if you guys have it. I've thought about having each district put something in that's historically or law about your area, then maybe just give me something for it so that I can decorate the 10x10 booth
When
for
do you need things
August 5th. It's coming up.
Then our next meeting and what's Monday?
I found some things, I have some things ready, historical posters. So
I was gonna
I
say,
can do something with that, but I need more content.
very clear, yeah, what are updates, gems, like, photographs, like,
Yeah, and I do have a few of those things in mind for that, so,
yeah.
you know.
Okay, well, that's his call to action, we're gonna get him things, and it's by August 4th, or that is the actual,
I set up on August 4th and then take down.
so before that.
So are you looking for like a poster size thing for each area?
Well, that's what I've been thinking, possibly I'll give that, I know it's short notice, I mean, we're looking at a week now, but.
Yeah.
If there's something, if not, I can do it, I think I have enough to be able to provide it, I just don't know if you guys would want to do something like that within your district.
Would something like, could we do, I don't wanna self-promote, but there's a ski resort now.
No, exactly, that's,
If we could do a poster for Nordic Valley, but is that for the business or can I?
It's for that, I need people that come visit that.
Yeah, and they do.
Yes,
And it's a
commercials.
great place for kids to ski, so I could do, I'll ask Nordic if they have a nice poster.
I wanna make sure we're aware of the timing, because I just looked at the calendar, so he needs it, he sets up August 4th. Our Monday that we're talking about for the next meeting, next work session is August 3rd. So that means
if we
if in a week, whatever you're getting right now needs to be gotten to him.
I'll shoot at him to see if you want to help with it. If not, I can, I mean, it'll be very simple, but they said it's a simple indoor thing, you don't have to man it, you just set it up and people walk by.
It's a good
Giveaway.
opportunity. John.
Yeah, and I'm hoping if we do get a city name, I can put a big.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
it's just that.
all right, that's it, okay, so, things I wanted to announce, for the public as well as the council, number one. I highly recommend everyone in the public, as well as council, download the Watch Duty app for wildfires. If you already have it, you're going to be aware that we had a fire that was kind of an all hands on deck down in Washington Terrace. It's threatening, it has been threatening structures, so there's evaluations in place, all kinds of stuff. So number one, our hearts go out to everybody in Washington Terrace that is feeling the fear and stress right now of all of that. We pray for the safety of our firefighters and first responders. But in addition, for people in the valley, we are a level 5 wildland urban interface, the entire city of Ogden Valley. If you don't have the fire app on your phone, please download it. It gives you alerts that includes your neighborhood vegetation fire, so you want to be aware of these things. So please watch the app. There's a Red Cross blood drive in the valley this week on Wednesday at the Huntsville Stake. If you are someone who donates blood, please do. There's a great shortage right now for the blood banks. McFarland Farms, I will say, just started again with their Saturday, you pick flowers and their farmers market. This is a great community event, so I just wanna make sure, because it just started this past weekend, but it's going through September. Be aware that that's available every Saturday. And that next Monday's meeting, which is August 3rd, is taking place at noon rather than 2. This is the meeting where, so city council cannot have a meeting in our form of government without either the mayor or mayor pro tem. So the mayor pro tem will be out of town, and during our normal time, I have WACOG meetings that I need to attend on behalf of the city. So I put those emails out before about us starting earlier, people on the council, I wanna make sure the public is aware and you all are reminded that that Monday is going to be 12 to 2 instead of 2 to 4. So that's it. Those are my announcements for council and public. I will take, with the closed meeting, so I will take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, got a motion from Helen and a second from Booth. It is 4:34. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, I just wish somebody would do that. 4:34. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this morning. That's why I just throw a sweater on. Well, I always, because in the past, I've always